become professionals, and after that they will automatically.
Now, coming back from Mombasa to Nairobi, of course, in our studios, we have Professor Misheni Ntiba, the Principal Secretary for Fisheries, Aquaculture, and yes, the Blue Economy. Now, Kenya is set to host a high-level conference on sustainable blue economy from November 26th to 28th, 2018, that is in Nairobi. And the ministerial conference will provide a forum to advance the global conversation on the sustainable development of the blue economy. The theme, actually, of the conference is the blue economy and the 2030 agenda for sustainable development, and it's going to be focusing on a lot of different scenarios which relate to the industries involved with water bodies. Now, thank you very much for joining us, Professor. Welcome to Business Today. All right, now let's start off with talking about this conference. What are the goals that Kenya is trying to achieve by hosting this conference?
Thank you very much. One is that the blue economy concept is a very new idea, first of all, in the world, in the sense that it was after moving from Millennium Development Goals to Sustainable Development Goals that for the first time the world recognized that we needed to look at a new goal, goal number 14, the SDG 14, which relates to life underwater. So for us in the country, we are lucky that we are endowed with a lot of waters in our ocean, in our lakes, in our rivers. We have waters. And so therefore, as a country, we need to embrace the blue economy concept and develop it as an economy in order to create jobs, in order to create new wealth and things like that. We have depended so much as a country on the green economy, basically farming and all that we have done over the years, development on land, and left the waters, particularly our sea, the oceans, not developed. So I think for the country to bring this discussion to the country is a very great idea. One, to make Kenyans be aware of what it is all about. I'm surprised that when I walk around in the streets, people ask me what is blue economy.
Yes. I think the demystifying of that fact is necessary.
Yes. So first of all, I think as a country we want to demystify this, one, for the country itself, for Kenyans, and particularly also for Africa, which has also got a lot of water resources, but which have not been developed or exploited all those years. So I think there will be business discussions about what can come from blue economy. There will be research and science discussions about what this can be, talking about innovations, talking about technologies, and involving everybody in this.
So I believe that fisheries account for about 0.5% of our GDP and generate employment for over 2 million Kenyans. But like you said, increasing the depth of the blue economy will help to bolster the employment within this sector as well. So what kinds of different, areas can we expect Kenyans to be employed in through expansion of the blue economy?
Yeah, but well, I think from the onset, well, of course, people know, when we talk about blue economy, the one thing that people think about very quickly is fisheries. But the fisheries is only one part of the blue economy and dealing with the living marine and aquatic resources. Remember, in waters, there are very many other resources, including water itself and how we can use it, including things like minerals. There are minerals out there that we need to mine. There are, of course, petroleum and gas out there, and many other things. And of course, the use of water itself as a means of transport. Ships and shipping things. Ships deliver a lot of trade in the world and things like that. And this is done by people. And the intention is that we shouldn't be able to have very many Kenyans participating particularly in the shipping industry and things like that. We need, for example, to be able, for example, in our seas, to have capability to be able to go to sea, to be able to fish in the deep waters, but also fish in a sustainable manner. We need to be able as a country to be able to stop piracy at the sea,
yes,
whether detrimental to trade or for stealing our fisheries and other resources. There's a lot of illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing out there, and we need to stop it because these are our resources. Because as a country we own the 200 nautical miles of sea, and probably very many Kenyans do not know that almost half of Kenya is in the sea and things like that. So there are all those things that we should be able to harness from our waters. Generation of energy, farming in the sea. For example, we have a number of women groups in southern Kenya and Kwale who have perfected the farming of seaweed. And seaweed can not only be used as food, but it's also used for very many other industrial products, soaps, beauty things,
yes,
pharmaceutical things, paint industry, and things like that. So there is an enormous number of things that we can be able to do with our waters. The trouble is, like in the rest of Africa, many of us sleep and wake up on the land. And over the years, we have not thought about what new things can be done with our waters. So we haven't invested, but of course I can understand the reason why. The waters, particularly the ocean waters, are difficult environment, and so on and so forth. But I think the government this time has taken it bold to want to develop the water economies. And I think this is very important. And we are saying that from the perspective of a country, particularly in the devolved system of governments, we would like to see the county governments, because that is where the action takes place, participating very seriously in this.
So essentially every level of government to get involved in developing the blue economy. Now, I like what you said about the fact that, you know, the African narrative when it comes to the blue economy has been monopolized by things like illegal harvesting, there's been degradation, there's been maritime insecurity. Have we already thought of measures that we can possibly enforce in order to curb these sorts of activities?
Yes, as a country we are very aware about this. And I think the awareness started, as you remember, in 2009, when there was a lot of resurgence of piracy in our part of the Indian Ocean, you remember, associated with the instability that there was in Somalia and so on and so forth.
Yes.
But I think since then, we've undertaken a lot of processes, including writing new policies. For example, we have new fisheries policy, which takes on piracy and illegal and irregulated fisheries very seriously. We have a new fisheries law, which talks about patrols and preventing stealing of our natural resources. We have built capacity for patrolling those waters in terms of training people, in terms of building ships to be able to do that, and working from an interagency point of view. If you are aware, recently the Coast Guard bill has been passed in Parliament, meaning therefore we are going to have a system of protecting our waters countryside everywhere, so that one, we do not have illegal activities out there. We can be able to deal with crime out there. We would also want to have our people participate, because it's about giving information and so on and so forth. So I think as a country, we have taken a lot of steps to control our borders, to build the capacities for protecting our fisheries, to build the capacity for generally protecting our waters. And that's the reason why we have developed a Coast Guard bill, which will be operationalized very soon.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, so you're saying the patrolling of the seas, of the water bodies is definitely heightened, and we're going to be increasing the protection that is provided around those areas. But also you spoke about the fact that, you know, Kenyans have been a little bit hesitant to venture into the blue economy because it does take a sense of expertise, right, to go to the depths of the ocean. I mean, there's of course you need to know how to be able to survive down there, have the right equipment. So do we have training programs in place that are going to be able to facilitate the involvement of novice people who want to get into the industry?
Yeah, you may recall that about 2 years ago, when His Excellency the President signed the fisheries law in Mombasa, he also established a Blue Economy Committee. And through that committee, a lot of work has been going on in terms of preparing the country to take on blue economy as an economy for this country. And as part of this, we have identified, for example, that we need to take the training school in Mombasa at the KPA and convert it into a proper maritime training institute so that we can be able to train Kenyans in all aspects of marine economy. Particularly to be able to train people to go to sea. You know, going to water is a complicated subject. Many people are worried about water. We only know those of us who are Christians. It's only in Jesus who walked on water at some point. But I think we need to train our fishers, to train our seafarers, give them proper accreditation internationally, so that we should also aim that, you know, the very many ships that are in the world, because they are businesses, we should aim at having at least a Kenyan in every ship that is plying the ocean waters. And to me, that is very important. Remember also our universities are also having programs to train in all aspects of water, to train in fisheries, to train in all these things. I know, for example, in JKU Art, they have a training program for marine engineers. We need to heighten that. We need to see our universities taking up this. These matters.
So the initiative to educate further in terms of maritime activities is definitely there, but we need to capitalize on it, increase it.
We need to invest in this. I know very many Kenyans also go abroad to train. Some of us were trained abroad. We take a lot of people to train abroad nowadays. We know we have some Kenyans training in Korea and everywhere. We also have our own research institutes like the Kenya Marine and Fisheries Research Institute, which has got huge capability of marine scientists, but mostly marine biologists. We need to increase the capacity of that institute so that we are not only talking about marine biologists, we are talking of marine geologists, we are talking of marine physicists, we are talking about mineralogists, we are talking about engineers and things like this.
So we diversify, of course, the human resources that can take advantage of our maritime and blue economy, as you say.
It's true. If we don't have people, remember these things will not do themselves.
Yes.
We need people with the right competencies, with the right training, with the right frame of mind to be able to get these things happening.
All right. And finally, of course, now forecasts have placed the value of maritime-related activities at 2.5 trillion euros per year by 2020. So there is a great amount of economic benefit that Kenya stands to, have from increasing its maritime activities as well as training people to take advantage of that. And we've also seen nations like Mauritius, one of the smallest in the world, having the strongest blue economies. So finally, can you just tell us some of the things you believe we still need to do in order to get to that level?
As a government, I think we need to invest in blue economy related activities. And I want to thank the government because it's doing this. First of all, it's a realization that we need to pick blue economy as one of our leads to achieving our vision 2030, is the beginning of that. I think secondly, we need to have specific trainings, targeting to build human capacity to be able to do that. We will need a lot of people to be able to take the various areas of the blue economy categories moving forward. I also think that we need to form proper partnerships with other people. Some of these things is that they are not new. So we cannot go into it like they are new. We need to partner with others. We need to form partnerships with other countries that have been able to do this.
Yes.
And I think this is why we are holding this conference. And you understood in the conference there will be a business forum where we should be able to have business partnerships and initiatives moving forward. Remember also in the conference we will also be having a science and research forum where we will be calling scientists from all over the world, including our own, to be able to discuss technologies and initiatives and investments areas in blue economy. All I think is that Kenyans must open up into this, and we go into it without fear.
Okay, so no fear as we venture into the depths of the blue economy. Thank you very much, Professor Misheni Ndipa, that is the Principal Secretary for Fisheries, Aquaculture and the Blue Economy. Thank you for taking your time to speak to us, to shed some light on the fact that there is a deep, deep reserve of investments that Kenya can take advantage of when it comes to our waters. We'll